So again, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jenkares, and I'm the founder of Chosen Counselors, which is a nonprofit organization, my nonprofit organization, that seeks to inspire, motivate, empower, and strengthen individuals and families. I'm so happy and honored to be back with my friends here at Turning Points for Children's Community Engagement Team. And today we're going to talk about rejection. If I'm honest, which I prefer to be, I was not necessarily excited to be reflecting on my rejections that I have experienced. And it even took me a while to pull together the thoughts that I wanted to share, which kind of let me know that it's about to get real. I'm going to tell my business. But I appreciate sharing personal stories because it helps others to relate and to see that we are all human. We all go through some not so pleasant times, but we're going to also talk about how we get to turn it into a strength, which is why the opening song was Kelly Clarkson's Stronger. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. And sometimes being rejected can feel like you're dying. And I'll talk about some experiences where I felt like I was potentially on the brink of death. Exaggeration or not exaggeration, how you're feeling is how you're feeling. We can't take that away. But we'll again talk about how it makes us stronger. So rejection, decline, no thank you, abandon, forsake, no, avoidance, ignore, snub, shade, blackballing, brush off, just some words that come to mind. Because about rejection, and it's not always easy being on the receiving end of a rejection, but it's also not fun or easy being on that side where you're given that rejection. But sometimes we have to make a decision that's best for us. And sometimes people receive it well, sometimes they don't. Sometimes we receive it well, sometimes we don't. But it has us in a state of why me or why not me? Can I? Could I? Should I? See, after experiencing rejection, it can cause you to rethink what you thought you knew, So today, I'm going to share about my reflections and how I turn those situations of pain into strength. So the first example that I'll talk about is family. So for family, a way that I've experienced rejection would probably be, the biggest one would probably be from my dad. So the first time I spoke to my father was when I turned 18 years old. I called him and I wasn't really ready, but I thought I was. But due to him not being around, I felt rejected. I had some friends and they would talk about their dad being around. I said, well, why isn't my dad around? Why isn't he a part of my life? So I felt rejected. He wasn't a part of my life for whatever the reason. I felt like he said, no, But as time progressed, I went away to school. And then on one of my breaks when I came back home, I went to visit him. And on that day, or one of those days rather, we took a picture. And it's the only picture that I have of me and him together. And that even still was a process. I felt that I was doing all this work, though, to make our relationship work. And I often wondered, did he even still want me to be a part of his life? I felt rejected, and I'm trying to now attach to something that I felt rejected me. So it's like, am I going to stick or am I going to flop off? It's like a gamble that you play of trying to find out how to find yourself in those situations. So there's still times that I felt like, he didn't want me to be around, or maybe he did want me to be around, or maybe he just tolerated me. But I had gotten to a point where I had to forgive him for me. So even in me feeling rejected by him, I had to forgive him for whatever reason he wasn't a part of my life. I had to forgive him for me. So when I moved back to Philadelphia, and again, this was a process. It did not happen overnight. I went away to school in Maryland, but when I moved back to Philly, through some time, I eventually eased my way back into seeing him a little bit more, trying to be a part of his life to whatever extent he did allow, and whatever was comfortable for us both. So 2009 maybe is about the time I moved back to Philly. Get to March 2010 and he passes away. So though I felt rejected, I reinvented the relationship that I had, not reinvented, but I formulated a relationship with him so that I could be able to be at ease with myself. Did I know why he wasn't a part of my life? Did I ever get those answers? Not at all. But I got the ease that I needed. But again, I still felt rejected, and that was a family situation. So again, what does that have to do with rejection? I felt rejected because it was a lack of relationship. But then I also dealt with rejection as it relates to other relationships I wanted to have. So if somebody didn't want to be around, or how they will respond, or did they want to be around me? Did I feel rejected? Like trying to find out what was the most appropriate way to have a relationship with other people, where I didn't feel rejected, or where I felt supported, or that I didn't feel like I was just hanging on by a thread, or I'm trying to make it happen, a piece of rejection. So as a result, unconscious or conscious, it affects, again, my relationships now and even 2020, because do people want me to reach out to them? Sometimes I wonder, am I good enough? The list goes on. But what happens is, in rejection, there's like a domino effect. And then your mind gets to thinking, and what started out with something so simple and smooth can become a real mess, if we don't, get hold of it to kind of figure out where are we going in our lives. But let's talk about some other experiences of rejection. Friends. I've had some friends leave my life and I did nothing wrong. I've had some friends leave my life and I could have did better. I remember in undergrad, I had a friend. We were a duo. I mean, you saw her, you saw me. We was always hanging out together. Then a guy came along and we were a trio, sometimes maybe plus one. But I struggled because I knew that duo so well. But when that third person came along to now create a new duo, I felt rejected. I was like, what's going on, my friend? Like, we supposed to be the ride or die, and it was just where I wasn't at a maturity level to understand, like, she's, exploring a relationship, rest of her life, what could be the rest of her life, but turned out it was the rest of her life. They're happily married with children. But at that time, I felt rejected. I was like, this is my friend. She's supposed to be with me, ride or die. So, it's different levels, different times you could feel rejected. And that wasn't her intent to reject me. Her intent was really to get to know this person who she wanted to, go on in life with. However, for me, I felt rejected. Okay. But it was a new level that I had to navigate. It was a new adjustment. But if I'm honest, again, it was a form of rejection. She didn't have time for me as she did before because she was working to build something. I've also had some friends that had insecurities, which caused them to reject me. Or maybe I rejected them. It's a two-way street. Sometimes, we're not perfect, and we want to be able to acknowledge those times when we're not doing the best that we could be doing as well, okay? So what had caused them to respond in one way now is another way, and we're not seeing eye to eye anymore, so we're just choosing different paths and routes. But if you're used to being with those friends, sometimes they can feel like, what happened? That's a loss. We've also talked about grief. We've also talked about the boundaries in relationships. So now in rejection, it all still flows together, okay? So in reflecting, I'm grateful that some of those situations didn't work out, while I also wonder what could have happened with other situations where it did have a potential to work out to be for our benefit, Another example of dealing with rejection or reflecting on rejection comes with work, obtaining a job. I remember I graduated undergrad and I applied to at least 20 jobs, possibly a slight exaggeration, but I applied to some jobs and no one was calling me back. I was heartbroken. I applied to a summer camp. Now, a summer camp was only maybe 3 months of the summer, and they told me no. I said, what on earth is going on? Was I not good enough? I felt like I could have knocked that out of the park at a summer camp. I worked at summer camps as a child. Well, not a child, but essentially a child, like younger days and things of that sort. So, like, what was happening for them to reject me? I was upset. But they said no. Jobs I thought that would be a perfect fit said no. And after no, after no, after no, after no, you get frustrated. You get upset. You get mad. And it's okay to have these moments. The hope is just that we don't stay there. So I finally was able to connect with a family support center, and it was such a rewarding job. Took me some months to get there, but it was such a rewarding job when I got that final yes. I helped single moms obtain their GED. I helped them to gain employment. I taught English as a second language. That was the most rewarding ever. They are like so hungry to learn. I just felt like I was making a difference. Again, it took a while to get to that yes though. Then I moved towards my adult career. I received some more news. Man. They say if it doesn't work out that it wasn't meant to be. But in the moment, that's not what we want to hear, if we're honest. We want to hear somebody say yes. We don't want to hear like 5 no's. We want to hear like a yes or like a no, no, yes, maybe so, things of that sort. But like so many no's after a while, I was like, you know what? You want to give up. But I'm here to encourage you today not to give up. It is frustrating in the moment when you're not getting that yes that you want, but it does come through for you at the right time when it's supposed to. Again, not an easy process. Sometimes we're going through some things right now. Like we wish we weren't on quarantine, maybe. We wish we could spend time with our families for this upcoming holiday. But, you know, we're doing things for the greater cause to help ourselves, protect ourselves for the brighter future. So, when I moved back to Philadelphia, I got that job when I was living in Maryland. So talking about moving back to Philadelphia again, a lot of things happened when I moved back to Philadelphia. Some more rejections, okay? I was offered 3 positions, but at first when I was applying, I wasn't getting any calls back. So maybe I went like 3 months not working. It was kind of okay though. Finally got a break, but I also wanted to work because you want some money, you have bills to pay, responsibilities, you're now an adult. So I went from no's to 3 yeses. So I had a decision to make. And I accepted one of the positions as a manager with a new program. And I lasted there for about a month. I joke and say I was hazed, you know, sororities and fraternities, when you're going through the process of becoming a member, they go through a hazing process. Not supposed to happen, but they like really see how strong you are. I felt like their job tried to see how strong I was. It was not organized, and I ended up rejecting them. I said, you know what, this is not for me. I need to go. I realized that that was not what was working for my life. So sometimes we get rejected, but sometimes we need to reject some situations as well. I went back to one of the other programs that had offered me a position, and I said, hey, you know, my name is Jennifer Harris. I came for an interview. Is that position still available? When can I start? That was on a Thursday. I'll never forget. They said, you can start Monday. Thank you so much. I rejected that position on that Thursday, had off on Friday, and I started that new job on Monday. Is it hard to make those kind of decisions? Absolutely. Because had I not had another ship to jump in on, I would have had to figure out how to survive that hazing I was taking at the current position. Because we want to also make smart decisions. However, sometimes you got to say, no, I don't have nowhere else to go, but I know this is not it. I need to go. So only you know when it should be those times and when it shouldn't be those times. I can't tell you when you should definitely reject the situation or when you should hold out a little bit longer. You have to do that for yourself. Me, on the other hand, I found another ship to jump into, went into that new ship, and then I was good to go after rejecting that, which was not good for me. So let's talk about that, though. Have you ever rejected something that you then needed? We do want to be careful of how we turn things down because we don't want to burn any bridges. We never know when we may need them again. So with those 3 jobs, I went to the one, and that's the one that didn't work out really well. But the one I went back to, I had sent them a thank you so much for like interviewing me, which I did to the other agency as well. I, you know, left on good terms, didn't like just forget them. I got this one. I'm good to go. Nope, she did it right. And you want to do that too. So you want to be mindful of how you end some situations because sometimes you may need it back. If it doesn't work out, you could go back to it. Now, sometimes you don't need to go back to it. And again, each situation is different depending on what situation you find yourself in. But again, I received several no's, even to get to the yes where I am today. I'll leave it at that because I could share more because some jobs have, you know, been perfect fits for me, so I thought, but it wasn't the right timing. And timing is important as well. The job I'm at now is just amazing, just helping some families connect with free education care for their children, and that's been rewarding. And that's the door that was supposed to open for me. But again, there's some other doors that I thought would have been amazing as well that didn't work out. I was rejected. I was upset. I'm working to get through it daily. Sometimes still a sore spot, and it can be because we're human. But again, still picking up and moving forward as we can going forward. Another area to talk about with rejections, relationships. Ever been rejected by somebody you loved, lusted, and then felt just disgusted? I got some bars. Let me find out how to be a rapper. Just playing. But you know, we've been in some relationships where it was not good for us, or it was like amazing, or it was blah, just there, you know. Some are friendships. There are some times that I gave my all only to be disappointed, you know. There are times that I could have did better. And I'll share that sometimes not giving your best is due to maybe a red flag popping up and causing you to fall back, say, nah, maybe this is not right. You know, you want to also trust your gut, trust your intuition to know if this is good or bad for you. Do we always know right away? Absolutely not. Because that honeymoon phase is real. It seems amazing. And then we get to another spot and it's like, oh, wait a minute, this is not what I thought it was, you know? So again, relationships can be interesting. Sometimes we're in relationships and we want to reject them before they reject us. My 2 cents on that is that when a situation is over, reflect on the entire situation though. I encourage people to review different situations as they come up. If it didn't work out, so what happened? What could have been different? What could have been better? For example, I had a friend and they had a relationship that ended badly. Me as an outsider, I saw different viewpoints. So I had asked, you know, what would you have done differently if you could do it all over again? And it was like a cat had its tongue. And I was saddened because I said, you know, so what could you have done differently? Like, nobody's perfect. We all have moments that we acknowledge, you know, I could have, you know, called more. I could have responded more. I could have been more patient. I could have been more this. Or they could have did some things too. But also, did we communicate those things? Because sometimes if we're not communicating, rejection can happen as a not intentionally, but it happens because communication wasn't there. So it's like, oh, they don't want me anymore. And that wasn't the case. So we want to always encourage communication. We talked about that when we talked about relationships as well. But what I'm saying is that if something goes bad or even good, you want to explore, what did you do that was good? What could you have done better? And then plan your action for the future. Because sometimes we get in situations, I shared some relationships, I could have did better. So then I'm mindful what I want to do in my next situation, how I do want to communicate more, how I don't want to be all about me, which is hard because sometimes it is all about me. And don't look like that, because sometimes y'all have y'all moments where it's all about y'all too. But you have to find the balance of it and communicate and be open to it not always being about you, because sometimes you want to be there for the other person. And this is relationships across the board. I know it's a tough conversation, but I'm not going to lie. It helps to mature us and prepares us for what's to come. Another thing with relationships, or another aspect of dealing with rejection, I've been rejected regarding my spirituality. I've experienced rejection because others were intimidated. When you're a newcomer, sometimes they think you don't know anything, but I've lived this thing called life some years now, so I do know a thing or two. But we have to be able to give people a chance sometimes. And sometimes people don't give us a chance. And we're quick to reject something and then not finding out the benefits that they do have to give to you. So in turning this rejection and turning this pain into strength, first we want to acknowledge that it hurts. It stinks. It is not what, how, where, when we wanted it to happen. But then we want to take time to reflect and vent. And you can't vent to everyone. I've had some things done, and when sharing with a friend, they're quick to comment from their scope, but it wasn't even what I was saying. You know, I was venting to somebody and I was like, you know, I went to the store and then the doors, and the doors was closed. No, I was trying to say the doors was blocked or whatever was happening. And then you don't want to talk to them because, one, they're rejecting your truth. You're trying to tell your story and they're just jumping in. Oh, this happened. Oh, this happened. Now, there's some people that really can finish your sentences. However, everybody can't do it. And everybody is not following you around all the time to really know what you're trying to say. So again, knowing who you can vent to, you know, and some things I just keep to myself because I know the potential response. And sometimes if we know the potential response, that's our way of a defense mechanism as well, to protect our peace, to steer clear. And ironically, you know, if they come up with a conversation or comment, I keep my comments to a minimum. Why? Because though people want you to be honest, sometimes they really don't want you to be honest. And sadly, sometimes you can't be honest because they aren't really ready or available to embrace the truest you. And sometimes we don't want people to be honest either because we see it as rejection. But we have to find the meat of the conversation and then leave the bones. You know, somebody telling you like, Jen, you really shouldn't have did that. You know, like that was bad business. I have to know within my heart that this person is saying it from a genuine spot. If they're not saying it from a genuine spot, or you know within yourself that you really did do the best you could do in that situation, again, you have to be the judge for yourself to know whether it was great, whether it wasn't great. And if that person that's coming to you is doing it of love or to reject you or to negate you or to knock you down. The hope is that we're helping each other as we're climbing this ladder of life. You know, we all trying to make it to the top. But you have to be the judge to know if this is a good situation good conversation, and how much further I should go. Another thing I want to encourage you to do is to take care of you. Self-care is so important. Do what helps you to get back and stay on your game. You also want to accept the reality. Everyone is not going to say yes. And you don't want everyone to say yes. There's some situations that if you were, let's go back to that love lust situation. There's some times you done been with some people and you was like, marry me, and they say yes, and you find out that they are, I was watching this movie this weekend, Acrimony, and if you've seen it, it gets a little cray-cray a little bit, emotion and things go on. So sometimes we want to be grateful that we didn't say yes so quickly, that we really did try it to find out if it's really a tree that's bearing good fruit and that fruit is good for us. So again, find out where that is for you. If not, you can get messed up. And I don't want that to happen to you. But again, if it does, I'll help you walk through it. Just give me a call, okay? But again, we don't want everyone to say yes to us. It's nice when people are offering to help us all the time, but just make sure that you're also helping them back too, because they could then feel rejected where I'm giving all and you're not helping me either. Want to also encourage you to work through the pain. It knocked you down, but you got to get back up again. I love the story of the Cleaner 409, Formula 409, I think is the name. And it's actually a tribute to the tenacity of two young Detroit scientists hell-bent on formulating the greatest grease-cutting, dirt-destroying, bacteria-cutting cleaner on the planet. And the thing is, creating the ultimate cleaner doesn't happen on the first try. It did not happen until the 409th try, hence the name Formula 409. Whew. 409 times putting chemicals together to make it work. How many rejections was that? How much money did they lose in that? But they believed in what it was they were doing. So sometimes even being rejected one time could be that, they were in a situation and they don't know how to respond great to your loving or to your support or to whatever it is that you're doing, because their situations taught them something different. However, you keep giving it a try if it's something that you feel is worthy of being in a situation with. 409 times. Whew, I don't know if I would have lasted that long. I say that, but here we are. Today is the 327th day of this year. We almost at that 409 for we get 365 for 2020, thank God, because 2020 has been something. But we're at day 327 of this year. We have survived quarantine. We're surviving COVID-19, and some have not survived it, in prayers and well wishes to those families as we're moving into the holiday season. But we are still here. We are still surviving. We should not give up. Yes, yesterday may have been a woozy, but today is a new day for us to try again. So we may have felt disgusted, rejected, busted yesterday. We may have felt disgusted, busted, broke, irritated, agitated today, but we're still here and pressing on. And that 409, may that be encouragement to you that if you keep going and keep on trying, that it will work out too for you. They say when you get rejected from a job, it's best to do a couple things. They say ask for detailed feedback. Now, I've done some interviews, and I could get some detailed feedback. Sometimes if the person is just too antsy and things of that sort, it becomes distracting. And sometimes that can result in a rejection, but you want to ask for that detailed feedback. What could have been different? What could have been better? Now, also know sometimes this is for a job, but if it's like a relationship or friendship and things, that feedback can come from a place of hurt. So take it, but don't let it ruin your day and things of that sort. Because they be like, well, you did da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's just a whole bunch of hate and anger and things coming in it. Again, take the meat of it, the things that you did or could have did better, and leave the bone. Because if not, it can make you upset and feel rejected, busted, and disgusted all over again. Another thing they say that's good to do is to review and reflect. Today, we're reflecting on my rejections. I've had several more. I just told you a couple of them. But again, if I'm surviving, you can too. So when we review and reflect, there are times when I've been nervous. And in life, you want to have confidence, this is why this will work for you, be confident in what it is that you're doing. If you're going on that interview, if you're engaging with that friendship, relationship, whatever it is, that you be confident in who you are, knowing that you're bringing everything you have to the table. But again, you got to be able to give your all, because if not, they feel like maybe you're not giving your all. And then that could cause some rejection as well. But again, communication is always important. Another step is to create the next plan of action. So you want to educate yourself. if I went on an interview and it didn't go very well, how can I educate myself more in that field if that's the field that I want to be in? So preparing yourself, enlightening yourself, expanding your knowledge. Another one is realize that some decisions are out of your hands. Went to an interview, and sometimes they just got who they have in mind for that position. I can't tell you how many interviews I've been on like that. However, it's okay. Whoever they have in their mind to put in that position, as irritating, agitating as it can be, as frustrating as it can be, know that when the time is right, it will work out for you. Not easy at all to hear, please believe me. But I'm a living witness that sometimes that no leads me to a greater yes, a stress-free yes, a more fit, better fit for Jennifer yes, and that's the yes that we want. Again, there's some yeses where we do have to work, but then it's sometimes that yes comes, it's like, whew, this is what I was waiting on. This is the right one. This is the right bus for me. It also made me think of, if you ever been to the casino, and you go to the casino and you're playing the slots, and you're playing and you're playing and you're playing, and you're not really winning. You go to get up, and then somebody else sit down, and they put that one coin in, and be like, ding! And they hit the jackpot. Like, what in the world? But sometimes that's how life works, where it wasn't for us, but it was for that person. Now, I would probably want to talk to the manager or something, because I feel like I warmed it up for them to win, and I feel like, no, that's not how it worked. I thought I'd try. Okay. Maybe I can't get none of the coins, but that's how you feel. But again, just knowing that when it's your time, it'll work. I might walk away, find $5 on the ground. Who knows? When it's your time, it will work out. The last one, I think it's the last one. Want to talk about building resilience. Resilience means, again, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. A toddler, when they're learning how to walk, they try and keep on falling, but they keep getting up again. They try again. Each interaction doesn't always result in rejection, but allow the experience to make you stronger. There are some situations I approach and say, the worst they can tell me is no, but what if they say yes? You want to still go in giving your heart, giving your full, giving all that you've got. It's not always easy, but again, I want to encourage you to reflect on your experiences. And we can't simply ignore them because, we'll have to take that test again. The test we took in first grade, by the time we got to fifth grade, it evolved. It was a little bit more hard, a little harder. Got to ninth grade, it was a little harder. And now as adults and trying to figure out this thing called life, these tests continue to grow, and we want to be able to pass them. Rejection may come. We may not get an answer right one time, but when it comes back around again, we want to try to do better. I'm also reminded that iron sharpens iron. It doesn't always feel good, but when crafted a diamond, as nice as it is to have that huge rock, it goes through a trimming process. And rejection is part of that trimming process to make you the best version of you. Embrace it and walk in the truth of it. It's nice to have a big, great big diamond, but that trimming process cuts it down where it's designed custom just for you. And sometimes we have to go through that process so that we can be that custom person that we're supposed to be. So again, keep trying. If we got a yes on the first try, we probably wouldn't think that we need to do anything harder. But because of that no, it causes us to go a little harder for ourselves and for those that we're doing it for. I wasn't really sure I was going to be able to present today. I was telling Julie and Michael, yesterday I had some Chinese, and my body did not, it did not agree with me, that Chinese. So my body was rejecting it. How ironic. Today talking about rejection, and yesterday I had to go through a physical rejection. Now, we've all experienced a time where something we ate did not agree with us. There are different ways to get through that experience, and they are not always pleasant ones. So there I am sitting on the side of my bed, evaluating life. Really evaluating life. I'm in pain. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. And it was from a decision I thought was good, Somebody gave me this recommendation. I was like, I'm going to try it out. I got to a place where I was feeling better as my tummy, finally said something has to give. And I'm not a fan of being nauseous, because I don't like that feeling. But I had to go through that process to remove that which my body was rejecting. So I felt some relief, but I still had the residue. Ironically, when I purchased the Chinese, I stopped by the pretzel factory because I hadn't had a pretzel probably this summer. water ice seasoning things. But I got some pretzels, and I had a ginger ale at home that I had bought like months ago. Not really a soda drinker, but I said, hey, if ever you need a ginger ale, it's here. And sometimes we feel like that ginger ale is a cure all be all, so you just have it on standby. So I thought to myself, sit on the side, like, whew, this is really, really going through. I'm really just going through. My body is not really built for this right now. It's saying no. It's saying no. I'm rejecting. I didn't want this. Take this out of me. So I'm like, Jennifer, you got some ginger ale, you got some pretzels, at least put the bread on your stomach, I'll drink some ginger ale. I had the tools, but I had to fight to go downstairs to get the supplies. So sometimes we get rejected. Sometimes something is rejected, but we got the supplies that we need to be able to get through that situation. But then it's still a fight to get there, because it's like, oh, am I going to make it? Am I going to be able to get down there? Am I going to be able to come back up? Like, what's going to happen? Am I going to get stuck? I get downstairs. I get the pretzel. I get the ginger ale. I ate about half the pretzel, drink a cup of the ginger ale, sip some water, and I lay down. And I woke up feeling like myself again. Now, going through that process, I felt like I experienced every moment of my body saying, no, you're crazy. Why did you do this? Take it out. Things of that sort. If you see like, I can't think of the movies, but different things come to my mind as I'm saying this, of like something's trying to get out of your body. Like, no, I'm not supposed to be here type situation. And it's a rejection. How ironic again for me to experience a little rejection to then come back and talk about rejection today. But for the moments that it felt like hours, probably felt like days, because I was really going through. Every moment, though, it was fighting its way out. I was over it, but I kept it. I kept going, and I learned from that experience. One, don't go to that Chinese restaurant again. But I was also reminded that I had the tools to get me through. Sometimes we have the tools that we need, even being frustrated, busted, disgusted. We have that friend that we could call that could help us be encouraged through that rejection. We have that loved one that we could call. We have those things within ourselves that we do of our self-care that helps us to get through those situations. Now, again, there's still some residue. My body, though, is saying, don't do that again, sis. I am also fully aware to be careful what I accept, as I don't want to experience that again. But we also talked about those times where sometimes it's out of our control. Sometimes we can make a decision that we think is good for us, and our body still says no. Who knows? Sometimes it happens, it's just, sometimes you get a bad apple and you didn't know it was a bad apple, because sometimes a bad apple looks good on the outside. That's good, Jennifer. It looks good on the outside, but it's not until your body that you find out, that's not what I thought it was going to be. But again, we still can make it through. We reject that apple, throw it out, and try again. Hopefully not giving up, because another apple in a bunch will be good. So again, you do have the tools to. Yes, it stinks. Yes, it's frustrating, but we can still get through it. I hope that something I shared today was helpful, bared a little bit, but again, it's all for the greater cause to help each other. So